Okay, so this is where things play out the most intriguing of the week, and this is where everyone's eyes are going to be diverted to, and I'm no different. You guys know there is a watch along, so make sure you tune in, like, subscribe and share and all that good stuff. I'm not going to speak about Mark Chamberlain versus Josh Padley because I've never seen Josh Padley fight, and I feel that's a disservice. I know I think he's a Southern area lightweight champion, so for whatever that's worth in this, you know, I won't be giving a prediction. The common logic would say that Mark Chamberlain should get the job done, but again, I don't know enough about Padley apart from I think he's 9-0 with only 1 KO on his record, and Chamberlain is obviously the big power puncher. So I'll just enjoy that one and see how it plays out. Now, Joshua Buatsi versus Hutchinson, and I don't know why this fight is so low down the card. It feels like it should be third from top as an absolute minimum, and possibly the Joshua Kelly fight may drop further down on the card, and this one will be boosted up later. I'm not sure, but look, I've looked at this fight. I've tried to figure out the ways each guy can win, each guy can lose, and I want to give full transparency and transparency right now. I am fully rooting for Joshua Buatsi to win this fight. That doesn't mean I'm picking him as such, but he is who I want to win this fight. He is who I am hoping wins this fight. Looking at the keys to both people. So one thing about Joshua Buatsi, he's very his punches are very correct, very sort of through the target. When he doesn't seem to like someone, or when he's not friends with someone, you can tell that he follows through with the jab, he follows through with the backhand. He's trying to go through the target. He's not just sort of trying to land the shot and then pull back for defensive measures. Hutchinson is very much more of a mover. He can get in and out of the pocket quite quickly. He's got very good footwork. He can be a bit unconventional. He also switch hits, and he has a penchant for trying to leap in with the leaping left or the leaping right, especially if he feels like he can get in and out safely. So he might leap in and then roll underneath a shot. One thing about him is his engine. You can tell when he's actually trying to manage his reserves in the ring, and for Joshua Buatsi to win this fight and win it convincingly, he has to make sure that when Hutchinson wants to take that break, take that walk around the ring to try and just get that breather, that's when you've got to be working. You've got to stay on him. You've almost got to be in that pressure fighter mode. You've got to be consistent. You can't just hang back and want to jab with him, because that gives him all the time he needs to set up his work and set up his attacks. Like, you have to be in his face. When he wants to take a break, you've got to be hitting him with the jab, making him keep his arms high, making him keep his brain engaged. Because we saw towards the end of the Craig Richards fight, the gas tank, the engine started to capitulate, and he only just about got a second win back in like the 12th round, when he knew that all I have to do is make it to the end of this and I'm guaranteed a victory. On this particular bout though, because I think that Joshua Buatsi has something to prove, not just to himself, but to, you know, Hutchinson and everyone else. And also, he doesn't like him. He's going to be going for, not going for broke, but he's going to be going for spite in a lot more of his shots. Now, there's also an issue with him and his gas tank, the way he likes to manage the gas tank, manage the rounds, manage the way that he is operating in the ring. That could be a potential issue. Like, if he runs out of gas and needs to take breaks, if he gets dirty and maybe gets points taken off for low blows, or, you know, for being dirty, etc. These are all things that he does have in him. We've seen him do it. That's stuff that he's got to be concerned about, or be mindful of, I should say. That being said, I have no doubt in my mind the experience levels between the two is one thing, but Josh definitely punches through the target harder, and the same way where at times Craig Richards decided to back off, decided he didn't really know what was going on, maybe he was overthinking the situation. I don't think Buatsi is going to overthink the situation as much. I think he's simply looking to land the shots that take the most damage to Hutchinson, and because of that, I do think in the first half of this fight, Hutchinson is going to probably be winning the contest just in terms of output and having to work and maybe a little bit of bamboozling, but I think eventually it's going to get up close. Buatsi's going to get to the body, he's going to dig into those ribs, he's going to keep that jab in his face, he's going to be throwing that backhand straight down the pipe, and I think that Hutchinson is going to take way too many of those, and I predict that by the 8th round this fight ends up turning on its head and he ends up getting stopped, whether that's via a cold knockout or via referee jumping in for too much of a sustained punishment. That's how I see it playing out. Now, outside of that, we've also got the next fight up on the card. I think would have, I guess, be Joshua Kelly versus Ishmael Davis. Now, Ishmael Davis has come in at very late notice, 6 days notice. This is up at 160 pounds instead of 154 where he normally campaigns, but he was getting ready for a fight in I think 3 or 4 weeks from now anyway, so he's still fairly he would have been in training, and apparently he doesn't ever leave the gym. In terms of their styles, he's actually got the perfect style, or the perfect, well actually no, his Joshua Kelly's style is actually the perfect style to beat someone like Ishmael Davis, because he is the definition of like a pure boxer. He's around the periphery, he moves a lot, he's trying to get into range, whereas Ishmael Davis is more of a boxer puncher. He can box when he has to, but he's looking to set up shots. He's economical with his work, but he's looking for those punches that pay the most dividends. He's not the biggest of punchers. I believe he's like 15-0 with only 6 KOs or something like that, but he has got enough power that you can he's got enough power that you have to take notice of the shots. I think he's 13-0, not 15, but it's like 6 KOs. So the issue is if he doesn't get Joshua Kelly under control from early, if he doesn't work that body from early, if he doesn't slow him down and he tries to box with him, especially at range, and it's a 12 rounder, Joshua Kelly will bank the early half of the fight and then we'll be playing defense on the second half and cruise to a points decision. And that's not where Ishmael Davis needs to be. So he needs to be on this from early. He needs to employ pressure tactics more than trying to box punch with Joshua Kelly. And to be honest, I think he would have been told that prior to accepting this fight. It may have come a bit too soon for him, but there is something telling me that he is going to rise to the occasion. So as much as this may sound like just a wild card prediction, I actually do have Ishmael Davis winning this fight. I'm not sure if he's going to win via a late stoppage, just by taking it away from Josh Kelly, or by implementing enough of his game plan early that he's able to get a couple of those early rounds and then really take the fight over in the second half and win a tight points decision. But either way, I think the fight is going to be very competitive and both guys are going to equip themselves pretty well to the public. Right, after that we've got Anthony Kakache versus Josh Warrington. Now this fight, I'm glad that the IBF didn't allow their belt to be put on the line. Josh Warrington is coming off of a knockout loss. Prior to that, he's coming off of a decision loss. Prior to that, it was a draw. Was it a win, then a draw before that, then a knockout loss before that one, or the other way around? So 1 win in the last 5 fights, which is not that's not championship material. And yeah, I'm glad that they stuck to their rules. There was talks that there was supposed to be a comeback fight for him to have a little run out just to get a win under the column, but that didn't happen, and ultimately you've seen only the IBO belt is on the line now, not the IBF. With that being said, you look at the two of them, Josh Warrington coming up those 4 pounds is probably really going to help him in terms of energy reserves and not having to cut that extra weight. He's always had a pretty good work rate anyway. Those extra 4 pounds will probably allow him more fats to be able to burn. It might even allow him to punch a bit more through the target. He's very dirty, as we know. The head will come in, he will try to sit on the chest, he will make the fight very nasty and horrible in that sense. All of that is something that, you know, Kakachi is going to have to be looking at and be concerned of. But even with all of that kind of taking place, you feel that it is Kakachi is just way bigger than him naturally. I would say that he hits harder than him. He knows how to keep range and he knows how to get people on the end of those shots, but he also knows how to fight in the pocket if he needs to fight in the pocket. He's obviously had a bit more wear and tear in terms of body damage, but Josh Warrington has been in a lot more wars, and I feel like those battle scars are going to show themselves up in this fight. So I do see Anthony Kakachi winning. I'm not sure if he's going to win via a stoppage, or if he's going to go the distance and just sort of, you know, win very comfortably on points. But I'm leaning towards a late stoppage in this fight. I just think Warrington's going to try. He's going to try his hardest, but the size and the power difference and everything's just going to get on top. And it's going to be a bit too much for him. Now, chief support, Tyler Denny versus Hamza Shiraz. This is one of the fights that I've been going back and forth the hardest on. Two things about this. Look, we know Hamza Shiraz has got one of the best jabs in the middleweight division. 6 foot, what is he, 6'3", 6'4". How he makes 160 is, you know, only he will know. How he used to make 154, only he will know. Tyler Denny is a much smaller guy by comparison. He's about 5'10", maybe 5'11", somewhere in between there. He's about the same height as me. So in that sense, he's gonna be fighting up to his opponent, but he's used to fighting bigger guys, taller guys. He's done it before. Obviously, we had the Brad Ray, the River Wilson Bent fights. The only difference I will say though with regards to those is, yes, he was fighting people that were taller, but neither of them had the attributes that Hamza Shiraz has when it comes to that power, and just the accuracy and the well-schooled and the well-drilled shot. They were more cute-ish type fighters, whereas Hamza is a ramrod. He has that ramrod jab, that ramrod backhand. So Tyler Denny has to try and cut that distance from early. He may be able to sort of out jab Tyler from that point by moving around the target and sort of moving off in angles, but realistically he doesn't want to stay at mid to long range because that's playing into Hamza Shiraz's fight. The irony is, when you get up close and you get up on the inside, that's also a Hamza Shiraz fight. He's quite comfortable on the inside, and when he tucks in those arms, his arms and his forearms are long enough that he can cover literally the entire body frame that he's got, digging into the ribs all the way down to his hips, and his arms can still be covering his head, so it's very hard to find purchase. That's going to be something that Tyler has to work around and figure out a way to get around in the ring. The biggest hope for him is going to have to be to work on the inside. He's going to have to try to muscle and jostle the arms around of Hamza Shiraz, try to see if he can dig through the middle, dig around the side of the arm, forget about trying to punch the arm, see if he can dig around the side, maybe even a couple of dirty shots to the kidneys. I'm not advocating for these things, but these is where you're gonna have to go. Maybe try and shoot shots up the middle. Maybe when you get on the inside, turn the knuckles over around the side and try to hit the shots at the side of the head rather than the front, because a lot of his body is just going to be protected. It's going to be a very hard task for Tyler Denny, if I'm totally honest. But because he is very busy in rounds, if he can avoid getting hit with clean shots, especially in the early rounds of the fight, like visibly clean, where all of the judges can see that landed and that pushed your head back or knocked your head back, he can maybe win a lot of those rounds just due to activity. And I think that's got to be his stance in the first half of the fight. And then as soon as things start to open up in the second half, especially if Hamza Shiraz starts to maybe get a bit antsy that, I'm not sure if I'm winning this fight, now I got to step on the gas, and he starts committing to more of his his shots that will provide Tyler Denny some chances to be able to get in and sort of, you know, maybe counter punch if possible, or just to be able to get on the chest and find more openings for his big shots. And, you know, he's not feather fisted, so even though there's only like 1 or 2 KOs on the record, he's got enough power that he can probably hurt Hamza. Hamza doesn't have the greatest of chins. We've seen that from 154 to 160. But in terms of how this fight plays out, look, full disclosure, I'm team Tyler Denny in this one. I believe that there is a way he wins this, and it's based on everything I've said. But I also realize that he is the B-side against Hamza, even though he, you know, is the champion and everything, but he's the B-side to Hamza. Hamza is the global ambassador of Riyadh, and he's one of Frank Warren's golden boys. So if this fight is even marginally competitive, Hamza Shiraz will get it on the cards. So while my prediction ultimately is that I think Tyler Denny does enough to maybe be that he should get a victory, or he should be considered to get a victory, and maybe he's done enough to win it, I think Hamza Shiraz will get it. Maybe split decision, maybe an unfavorable decision to people, but that's how I see it. I don't see Tyler getting knocked out in this one. I mean, yes, he could. You know, if Hamza lands enough of those jabs, if he you know, dents Tyler, there is a possibility that can happen. But I do see it going the distance, and I see maybe Tyler Denny getting the unofficial victory, the one on the scorecards, whereby the audience looks and says, "Nah, I feel like you guys have done him a bit dirty there." But I do think that Hamza Shiraz will win, and it won't be to a degree whereby people are screaming it's an outright robbery. It's one of those, it's a close enough fight that either guy could get it, but Hamza gets it because he's the man of the moment. That's my prediction on that one. Right, I'm gonna close off this video now, and I'm gonna do the main event in its own separate video because there's a lot that I want to talk about and discuss on that. So for right now, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Part 1, Basis Picks. Lot.